Today, on this 2008 Jeep Liberty, we're going to install part number RM-8700. This is a Roadmaster Invisibrake supplemental braking system. The first thing we need to do is go ahead and get our vehicle ready to install our braking system. To do that, we're going to remove the seat and pretty much gut the vehicle. Now there's a small panel on the outside here where the strap goes into. We need to go ahead and loosen that up and remove the bolt. Now there's a catch inside of here, so it kind of helps to push down or wiggle it around and pull it loose this way. And then you have two snaps here and here, and you just pull it right up. And then we need to remove this Torx bolt right here for our seatbelt. We'll set that to the side. So it looks like there's a total of 3 bolts we have to remove, and actually 1 nut, plus an electrical connector we have to disconnect. Then we can go ahead and move our seat around out of the way. We'll raise the seat up and get access to our electrical connector. Looks like a small red lock that we have to loosen up on both of these, and we can go ahead and disconnect it. Slide this lock back. That's the lock right there. Red lock on this one, push down the tab here. There. And here's a small tab to push down. Now we can go ahead and move our seat out. Now at this point, it'll be easier to see where our Invisibrake compressor is going to sit at. It's going to tuck up as far as we can underneath the seat. This will stick out, but there's not much other place to hide this. We won't mount this right now. We're just going to leave it loose. One of the last things we do is actually fasten it to the floor. Now we're going to go ahead and lay out our cylinder. It's going to roughly stay in this position along by the back seat, and everything should be tucked underneath our plastic, with this pulley going up behind the pedal. This will be attached to the firewall behind it. All right, next we're going to go ahead and remove our trim panel here, starting our way in the middle and just feel for the fasteners. Use a trim panel tool to help pop it loose. We'll go ahead and work our way back and work on this panel. Next, go ahead and take a carpet and peel it back as far as we can. Our first part to install will be our bracket that goes to the pedal. It's 2 pieces that get clamped to the pedal. There's an adjustment where you can run it forward like this or backwards. It just depends on how much room you have behind the pedal. We'll take our hardware that comes with the kit. We'll get one side started. Slip it across and put another bolt on the back side. Just snug it up for now, because chances are we may have to make adjustments later. Next we'll go ahead and do a quick test fit of our pulley with our bracket. We'll simply just leave it in here, slip it over into the bracket for now, and then we'll just go ahead and make a straight line with our cable and see about roughly where we need to put our pulley so our cable pulls in a straight line. So we'll go ahead and cut out our insulation around this area right here. We'll go ahead and mount our pulley up now. We'll go ahead and route our cable the way we want it. In this case, we'll go underneath the wire harness. And then we'll go ahead and loosen it up. Take off the back nut. This is basically the end of our cable. We'll go ahead and put that through and thread it back in place. We'll set this up where the brake pack bracket goes right through the center of our threads. So that way we can adjust our cable back and forth as needed. All right, now this will take some trial and error as you put it together to get the right orientation of the cable. You don't want this end coming out at an angle like this. We want it to come straight. So what we're gonna do is take our cable and run it out to the side, and then let the flexibility of the cable part go around the corner. So all we'll do is mount our pulley like we want it. Ours came out right above the edge of the seam here. Then we'll mount our cable. We'll go ahead and flip up this piece of insulation up and out of the way for now. Then we'll secure our cable at the end here. Okay, we'll use this clamp and 2 3/8 screws to secure it. Now one of our last adjustments right here, we need to go ahead and give us about a 1/4 inch of slack, which basically the ball on the inside here will come mostly the way out when it's loose. So we'll work for our adjuster here, these 2 flange nuts, until we get the amount of adjustment we need. And plus you don't want this pulling on the pedal at all. You just want just enough where it comes back and you still got some slack. And a 1/2 inch wrench will tighten up our adjuster. Now let's go ahead and work with the air cylinder itself. We'll put this clamp around it. We'll go ahead and mount ours about right here so we can still hide it underneath the plastic and alongside our insulation. We'll put a little bit of an angle of it so we have enough room for our airline to eventually go in here and make a U-turn out towards the controller. This will use another 3/8 self-tapping screw. We're going to take our smaller of the 2 airlines and run it into our air cylinder. We just push it into place till it bottoms out. And you can see how it'll bend and go with our wire harness. We'll go ahead and take our small airline now and we'll go ahead and route it underneath the carpet to this pre-existing opening here. We'll go ahead and pull out all our excess, plus leave a little bit extra in there for working room later on. Now we'll go ahead and cut off our excess and we'll go ahead and put it right into our controller. Make sure it's square and clean, and we'll go ahead and put it in the same fitting like on the air cylinder. Now we'll work with a larger airline. This will be for our vacuum going up towards the engine compartment. We'll do the same thing, route it underneath, and we'll run it to the controller. To make our connection here, we'll use a simple small piece of 1/4 inch airline tubing that comes with the kit. It simply press fits all together. We'll go ahead and route it to maybe we have a little extra loop in there for any adjustments later. And then we'll go ahead and continue on running this airline into our engine compartment. Basically we'll follow our cable going up towards the front, and there's a pre-existing grommet underneath the dash that we can use to go to the outside. Now our grommet is up towards the upper left-hand side behind the dash. It's pretty hard to see, but it's actually very easy to get access to underneath the hood. We'll go ahead and pull it out and then put a slit in it so we can run our airline tubing through it. All right, we'll go ahead and reinstall our grommet. In this case, we're going to do it from the inside out, because when we push our wires through, we're continually pushing it into place. Let's go ahead and pull out our excess. Now this vacuum line we just ran needs to tee up with this vacuum line that goes from the brake booster and to the engine. So let's move that protection loom out of the way. And basically, we'll go ahead and cut this in half. And in the middle, we'll install a T. Now the kit comes in 2 different sizes T's, depending on the size vacuum line. Now the T takes up some space, so you may want to take out a small section. Go ahead and run our airline up to it. Here we'll cut our new airline to length. With another piece of 1/4 inch airline tubing that comes with the kit, we'll go ahead and push the 2 together. One more thing we have to add is a check valve. The red band always points towards the engine. We'll go ahead and cut one more small section out and install our valve. And again, there's 2 different size check valves that come with the kit to match up to the airline tubing. Next, we'll go ahead and work with our 4-pole wiring harness here. This is going to plug into the back of the controller. Then we'll go ahead and run this wire just like we did our airline tubing. We'll go ahead and run towards the front and then down to our towing harness for the taillights. We'll make our connections there. We'll go ahead and push our wire through our grommet like we did before. We'll just go ahead and route our 4-pole wire along the edge of the fender well and alongside our battery and back down to our 4-pole located towards our bumper. Here's our 4-pole wire harness right here. So we're going to match it color for color onto our 4-pole And we'll take a white wire and add it to our pre-existing ground right here. Now if you don't have a pre-existing ground, it can be any piece of sheet metal as long as the towing harness is grounded to the body. Let me go ahead and cut my excess off, get the splicing. Split our wires back. Strip our wires. We'll go ahead and split these guys up. And we'll go ahead and strip these wires back as well. Now we'll basically make our connections by taking our new wire harness and adding it alongside our brown wire for 1/2 of our towing harness. We'll use a butt connector to put the two together and make a junction. And this end will go to our other wire. Now this is a rather large butt connector that's supplied with the kit, so we're going to go ahead and substitute it with a little bit smaller one because our wires are so small. We got our brown wire done. We'll go ahead and continue with the rest of them. Not to forget about a white wire for ground, we'll go ahead and add a small ring terminal. Again, same situation. The ring terminal didn't need to be as big that came with the kit, so we're substituting for a smaller one. Let's go ahead and make our connections for our butt connectors. All right, let's go ahead and loosen up our original ground screw and add our white wire to it. We'll go ahead and take a moment to secure them and add some electric tape to help protect the wires. And we'll go ahead and add yet a couple more zip ties to our bundle here. Go ahead and cut off our tails. Our 4-pole wire harness is done. One more wire harness to work with. This is our wire for our power supply, our black and white wires, and this large black wire for our breakaway switch. This will go ahead and plug into the back of our controller. So we'll go ahead and route our wires just like we did the last 2 times of our 4-pole wire and our vacuum line. We're going to route our red and black wire all the way to a positive post of our battery. We'll go ahead and cut off our excess, and we'll go ahead and split the 2 wires. And we'll add our fuse holder to our red wire, which will go to our positive side of our battery. We'll just go ahead and slip this end over and then crimp right here. We'll take apart our fuse holder, take our fuse and add it to the fuse holder. This is just a press fit. We'll go ahead and attach it to this terminal right here. Right now, work for a black wire, we'll run that straight to ground. We use this large ring terminal for the job. We'll leave these wires alone for now, and we'll work with a thicker black wire for a breakaway switch, and we'll follow the same path up here. pull out our wires. Then we'll go ahead and route this in towards our bumper. We'll leave this wire alone for now, and we'll go ahead and mount our breakaway switch. It's going to be pretty much of a stretch, but we're going to mount it right here. And it's going to be sitting at an angle when we're done. Once we know where it's at, we'll go ahead and start a pilot hole, and then we'll go ahead and attach our breakaway switch. We just use a self-tapping screw for a pilot hole. We'll actually use one of our remaining larger self-tapping screws to make our attachment point. Go ahead and make our connections before we attach our breakaway switch. Then we'll use some more electric tape just to help secure it. Once we have it started, we'll go ahead and bend it down to where we need it, and we'll go ahead and finish off tightening it up. We'll bend it as needed so we don't distort the bumper anymore when we have to. Pull back our excess, and we'll go ahead and bundle it up behind the bumper cover. We'll drill a couple holes for some zip ties, and we'll be good to go. Next, we'll go ahead and install a wire for the monitor system that goes up to the RV. This is our 15-foot length of wire with the female butt connector on the end. We'll take this wire and run it through our grommet towards our brake switch. We'll pull some of our wire through, and then this wire will go down once again next to our 4-pole wire harness. Pull our wire out. And we'll go ahead and route this to our electrical connector that was previously installed. And that's our 4-pole wire harness. We'll leave a little excess so we can just tuck it behind our plastic when it's not in use. We'll leave some slack back here in case we need to revisit this, and we'll go ahead and zip tie our excess. Now here's our black wire. This typically would run to the cold side of the brake switch. However, in this particular vehicle, when it's towed, the battery has to be disconnected. So we have to add a secondary brake switch, and this will get power from the battery. Now the part number for our brake switch is going to be RM-751430. So we'll go ahead and leave this wire alone for now, and we'll go ahead and lay our carpet back into place. To install it, we need to remove the panel that's underneath the dash. We have 2 fasteners with a screw right here. All right, looks like our panel comes out on its own. This is our bracket, and this is our brake switch right here. We just got it loosely installed right now, and then we'll go ahead and adjust it once it's in place. Straight back up here, above the brake pedal, underneath the dashboard, is a nut we have to remove. You can identify it with a large flat washer behind it, and there's 2 of them if you look up underneath there. We'll go ahead and remove the nut that's closer to the center of the vehicle. We'll go ahead and put a bracket into place, and you notice this hole right here is for the stud that we just removed the nut from. And we also have our tabs from our switch pointing in the same direction as this bent part of a bracket. And let's go ahead and put it up into place and reinstall the nut. And let's tighten the nut back up. Now here's our bracket for a switch right here. Now the button of the switch should be resting against the brake pedal. Now you may have to flex this the bracket to get farther or closer away as you need it after you tighten down the nut. Once you have it close, we'll go ahead and adjust the switch using these 2 nuts right here. Make sure that it's pushing against the pedal when the pedal is not being pushed. Once we have it where we like it, we'll go ahead and tighten down these 2 nuts. We'll take a look and see how it works. We push the pedal, a little button comes out, and that should send a signal to our monitor on the RV. Now we'll go ahead and start adding our wires to our switch. Now our switch comes with 2 wires, a green wire and a red wire. We'll start off the green wire. We'll strip the wire back. We'll add one of these spade terminals to it. This will go on one side of the switch. Doesn't matter what side of the switch it is either. Now the other end of our green wire will go to our black wire that ran. We'll go ahead and cut its length, and we'll use a supply butt connector to connect the 2. We'll take our spade connector and attach it to our switch. All right, now this is a red wire with the fuse holder. We're going to take this and run it through our firewall one more time from the outside to the inside. With the other end of a red wire, we'll go ahead and add another spade terminal. Now we'll go to the other tab on our brake switch. Here's the other end of a red wire for our brake switch. We'll go ahead and put a ring terminal on the end. It comes with the kit. And we'll add that to our positive side of our battery. We'll go ahead and tuck our wire along with the rest of our wires in the same basic route. Everything is electrically connected. Let's go ahead and test it. We'll pull out our end for our brake switch. We'll go ahead and ground our test light. In this case, we're using a bracket to the breakaway switch, which is bolted to the bodywork. When the brake pedal is being pushed by the Invisibrake, it'll send this signal out to the monitor in the RV. Now at this point, we'll go ahead and tuck our wires behind our carpet and then zip tie to help take up the slack. Let's put our panel back up. At this point, we'll go ahead and do some final checks for wires underneath the carpet to make sure it won't be smashed when we put the seat back into place. If we stay alongside the factory wiring, I think we'll be good to go. And we got some room to tuck in our excess. All right, at this point, we'll go ahead and reinstall our interior panels. Let's go ahead and secure the wires underneath the hood. Let's go ahead and zip tie our wires. Now would be a good time to go ahead and give it a test try. We'll go ahead and pull the breakaway switch out and make sure it pulls the brake pedal down. We'll go ahead and put our seat back into place and reinstall our electrical. One of the last things we'll do is go ahead and mount up our box. We'll go ahead and take it and shove it far forward as possible, and then we'll go ahead and make a mark in the carpet. And we'll go ahead and make some cuts in the carpet, and we'll go ahead and drill a pilot hole first. We'll use a small 1/8 inch bit, just enough through the metal, and then we'll double check to make sure we won't hit anything below it. After we drilled our pilot hole, we went ahead and stuck a piece of wire through the floor to make sure there's nothing else immediately behind the floor. Once we're satisfied with that, we'll go ahead and take our controller and go ahead and put it back into place. We're going to use a different type of fastener that comes with the kit. Now this will vary with how thick the insulation is underneath the vehicle. So we're using a self-tapping screw with a built-in washer. We finished up with our Jeep Liberty. Now we'll continue on to our RV, where we'll route the other end of our brake switch to the inside of the cab by the brake pedal. In this case, we had to drill a hole for our brake switch and install a small grommet around it. Now we can pull the black wire underneath the dash. As you can see, it comes out just above the carpet. Next, we can drill out for our indicator light. We've chosen this area here next to the steering wheel. We'll then take our sticker for the indicator and put it into place. Now we can install our indicator light. Next, we can install the clip on the back of the indicator light to ensure that it stays in place. With that done, we'll take our audible alarm, which has red and white wire. We'll splice the red wire to the black wire we routed from the back of the RV together and add a butt connector. Then we'll take our other butt connector end and attach it to the red wire of our light indicator. Next we'll splice the black wire from our light and the white wire from the audible and add another butt connector. To the other end, we'll add a single white wire. This will serve as our ground. We'll add a ring terminal to that end, and using a self-tapping screw, we'll ground it underneath the dash and keep it out of the way. Next, we'll zip tie our wires we just connected to clean up our look. Now we're ready to test our Invisibrake. We've got our car hooked up to the RV. Let's go ahead and try it out. We'll go ahead and press our brake pedal. And our red light should come on our monitor. And it has an alarm in case the breakaway switch is pulled. With that, that'll finish it for our install, part number RM-8700 on our 2008 Jeep Liberty.